Last year I wrote a book called How I Stripe a Parking Lot 15 Years by Myself and selling from my website. I'll tell you how to get there in a minute, but first I want to show you a conventional line striping machine. This is the HRL1. I've had one of these since day one. Still use it every day. I'll tell you how it works. I'll tell you how to put paint in it. I'll tell you how to clean it out. I'll tell you why I like it. The big parts, this is the paint tank. It holds 7 gallons of paint, sealed off at the top with a lid. Little wings to screw down. This is obviously the engine. Start up the engine, it runs the compressor. The compressor compresses air, puts it in this braided line and throws it into the frame. The frame is this yellow round tube. It's hollow, fills up with air. The air travels up the back and splits off into 4 different places. Place number 1 is the tank. The tank sits off to the left, the gauge is off to the left. It's easy to remember. Air goes into this tank and pushes down on the paint. All we have to do is open up this valve, let the paint come out of the bottom, comes around this plumbing into this black paint line. The paint line goes right to the gun. You now have paint at the gun. If you pulled this trigger, paint would come out, but it'd come out like a squirt gun because there's no air injected into that to turn it into a spray. So, the second place that air goes to is it comes off to the right, or your right, comes through this gauge, comes down through this red line. Through this red line, if I open this up, it allows air to flow down the red line and it gets to the gun. Now I have paint at the gun, now I have air at the gun, and the air bleeds through. The air is coming through the line, or coming through the gun right now. You'll hear it, I'll show you that later. All we have to do now is introduce paint into that airflow. It turns into a spray. We have a stripe. Place number 3. Well, place number 3 is this little tank. In this tank is whatever you want to clean out the machine. If you're using water-based paint, water goes in this tank. If you're using alkyd paints or oil-based paints, if you're lucky enough to, then you're using mineral spirits or paint thinner, same thing. Mineral spirits go in this tank. If you're using acetone-based paints, then xylene or toluene goes into these. Water's cheap, easy to get, easy to dispose of. Mineral spirits cost about $6 a gallon. Xylene and toluene cost maybe $10 and $12 a gallon. Anyhow, I'll show you how to use this. If we pressurize this tank, this is the third place air can go to. All I have to do is just open this little valve up. You might not be able to see it. Open this little valve up and it throws air into this little tank. There's a hole right here. Air comes out, pushes down on the mineral spirits, and it comes, forces it up through this little brass tube. It comes up and it comes down this red same air line, right down this line, bypasses the paint. Certainly doesn't go into the tank. Down this line, bypasses the paint, just blows out the tip, just flushes out your tip. That's all it's for. So once again, open this up for about a second, throw about a teaspoon or 2 into this line, goes right to the tip. What I also do then is I open this up and allow air to go through that line and just blow that out. And you're done. That's how long it takes. It's over with. So place number 1 is the tank. Pushes the paint down, goes through the plumbing, into the gun. Place number 2, open this up, air comes down. Air and paint are at your gun, pull the trigger, it's a spray. Place number 3 is pressurize this little tank for about a second, puts paint thinner into this line, goes right to blow out your tip. If you want to blow that out, put air into that line, real simple. Place number 4 is a stencil gun, and I'll get that right now. Stencil gun. I like this gun. It's the same kind of gun you would use to paint a car with. But the nice thing about it is, if you pull the trigger about that much, air comes out. And then if you pull it a little bit more, just a little bit of paint comes out. You can finesse this gun. If you want to paint an arrow on the ground, just pull it the whole way. All the paint comes out, all the air comes out. It's a nice spray. You can just spray the paint, spray the arrow, and you're done. If you want to finesse, if you have some curbing to spray, or you're coming around the bull nose of a curb, you can pull the trigger just a little bit, and then just a tiny bit more for some paint, just finesse it around that curb. It's nice. Also, Also on stencils, after you shoot like 3 or 4 handicap stencils or no parking stencils, the stencil itself gets to be sloppy. But with this gun, you can just finesse it right in and stay closer to just the lettering. It's nicer like that. But I like it around curbs. I like it on light pole bases. You can finesse the gun by controlling the volume of paint that comes out. I like the gun. Black line is the paint line. Red line again is the air line. You can't mess this up. The paint line is the bigger line. It goes to the bigger outlet. Just screw it on. Put a wrench on that little crank. The red line is the smaller line. It goes onto the smaller outlet. Same thing. Put a little wrench on that and crank it on. So, if I want paint to get to this gun, I open this. Paint flows to the gun. I have paint to the gun. If I pulled it right now, it would come out like a squirt gun, about that far, the diameter of a pencil lead. But if I introduce air, by opening that, now it turns into a spray. It's that simple. So, once again, the 4 places that air can go to: the engine starts, the compressor runs, it puts air into the braided tube. The braided tube fills up the frame. The frame is hollow. The air comes up the back, splits off, and goes into 4 places. Place number 1 is into the tank. The tank fills up with 25 pounds of air, pushes down on the paint. The paint comes out the bottom, into the black tube, into the gun. Place number 2 comes off to the right, comes into this red hose. We allow it to flow literally right through the gun. Air is flowing through the gun. We introduce paint to that stream of air. We have a spray. Place number 3 is this little cleaner can. Whatever you're cleaning your machine out with, that's what goes into this can. 2 things. I'll show you the one right now. Pressurize that for a split second. Throw some paint thinner in there. Blow it the rest of the way. It just flushes out just the tip, which is a nice little feature. Place number 4 is right here. Goes to the stencil gun. If you have a job that has stencils or touching up curb or light pole bases, that's a great little gun. That's how it works. Now I'll show you how to put paint into it. Let the pressure off. 2. Opposing hands. Opposing hands. 2 or 3 turns. 2 or 3 turns. The point is, do it evenly. 3. Get a little wiggle. If you have a little wiggle like that, you're good to go. Open these up. You can take this off. I'll show you more of that when I actually run it, or in video number 2 when we're cleaning it, and video number 3 when we're actually running it. So, pour the paint in. Put this on. I use my fingertips to kind of center it. Put these on again, opposing hands. Torque it down 4 or 5 times. Torque it down evenly. It's not a big deal. Shut the relief valve off. Start the engine. The engine's running, it's compressing air. Air is going into this braided line, into the frame, which is hollow. Air is coming up the back, going into 4 places. Place number 1 is right in this tank, and it's pushing down on the paint. So I want it to get to that gun. All I have to do is open this lower valve. Just swing this lower valve down and it's open. Now paint can come out the bottom, through the piping, into the black line. It's at the gun. Alright? Show you how to prime it. This tank, I use, most of the time I just use a coffee can, but for this I just got a 1-gallon can from the paint store. They're brand new, they're free, you can get a lid. All I'm going to do is pop a wheelie and pull the trigger, that's it. Air is pushing down on the paint. It's coming out of the bottom and going around to the gun. It's just sitting there. If I pulled this trigger, paint would come out. It's that simple. But the last time I cleaned it out, I have mineral spirits in that bottom line. So mineral spirits will come out for about a second or 2, and then the paint will come out, and I'll just catch that in a can. So I pop a wheelie, put it right down in that can, pull the trigger, mineral spirits is coming out, paint's coming out, I'm done. That's how long it takes to prime the machine. When I want to stripe, I introduce the air, pull the trigger, and I'll show you that later. If I want to prime this gun, it is the very same way. Air is pushing down on the paint, paint's coming out of the bottom, and it goes to the gun. If I pull the trigger, paint comes out. It's also coming through this black line because I have this valve open. We open this valve, now it's closed, now it's open. So paint comes down, comes straight back to plumbing, comes right into this line, and it's waiting to come out, and it will come out as soon as I pull the trigger. So what I do is I take the little cap off. Keep in mind, there's mineral spirits in here from the last time I cleaned it out. So if I pull this trigger, mineral spirits will come out for maybe 2 or 3 seconds because it's a little longer of a line. And then the paint will come out and we're good to go. So it's just the paint. You know what? I don't have the air on. There's no sense in having air coming out of these little holes around here to turn this into a spray. And then this cap actually gives it the shape of a 4 or 5 inch line. So there's air coming out of here. I don't need the air to come out of here. Shut the air off. It's just the paint. Mineral spirits is coming out. Now a stream of paint is coming out like a squirt gun. I just stop. It is about that long. And you are finished. I put the cap back on so the next time I pull it, 2 things occur. When I introduce air, now it'll come out like a spray. When I put the cap on, it comes out like a nice fan. It just gives it that shape. So this is ready to go. Putting paint in takes about a minute or however long it takes you to pour it in there. To prime the machine, you start it, the airflow goes into the tank, pushes down, open up the bottom valve so that it can get around to the gun, pop a wheelie over a can, pull the trigger. Mineral spirits come out, paint comes out, you're finished. To do the back, it's the same thing. Open up the valve and let the paint flow through the black line. Take the cap off. Drop it. Don't drop it. Take the cap off. Pull this over a can. Mineral spirits come out. Paint comes out. You're good to go. Cap back on without dropping it. Introduce air into the line. Next time you pull it, when you pull it now, air will come out. You'll hear it coming out. Pull a little bit of paint comes out. You can finesse it, you can control it. I like this gun. That's it. It's that simple. Without dropping the cap. Keep in mind, there's probably this much product in here now. Most of it is paint, 50-50, paint thinner. Keep that in mind. There's not much left. You know where this goes? Depressurize this, and I'll show you that later. Put it right back in there. There's never any waste. Or put it in a bucket that you use to pour the paint in there with. There's never any waste. Or put it on your trailer like I do. On a hot day, it'll evaporate in half of a day. No waste. The next video, I'm going to show you how to clean each one of those parts out. The front system, or the lower half. The back system, or the stencil gun. The front system you can call the striping gun. The back system you can call the stencil gun. And the tank. That's it. I'll be right back.